What's going on, guys? It's Cal here from Buffalo SportsCenter, and today we are going to be talking about the future of the Sabres goaltending. Now, usually I come on here talking about the Sabres, pretty heated, pretty mad, infuriated with the lack of production that we've seen so far this season. But today it's actually going to be a positive video because the one thing the Sabres have actually done pretty darn good this season is goaltending. And it's pretty one-sided when you look at that. I mean, there's been one goalie who's really taken the world by storm on the Sabres, a backup who has been atrocious, and then a young stud that's been tearing it up in the AHL for a little bit. So let's talk about the future of the Sabres goaltending. I'm not going to sit here and read stats. I don't really want to bore you with stats. Again, that would take 30 seconds to look up on your own. Let's just talk about opinions. Let's talk, what I think, and, be sure to let me know in the comments what you think, of the future with this Sabres goaltending core. The first thing, that I want to talk about is clearly UPL. I mean, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has just been outstanding this season. Again, I'm not going to read out stats. I'm not going to tell you his record, his save percentage. I mean, the eye test does it all. He has just been fabulous. He's been keeping the Sabres in games all year long. And this Sabres team, they struggle to put the puck in the net. I mean, complete opposite situation of last year, where they couldn't buy a save, but scored about 7 goals a game. This year, their goalies are consistently giving them 2, maybe 3, sometimes 1 goals against, and they just can't seem to match the production. And it's just infuriating that the team cannot put pucks in the net, but the goaltending has kept them in the playoff picture all year long. Now I get it, the playoffs are pretty much an afterthought at this point. I guess the goaltending wasn't good enough to save them all the way, but it kept them in it all year long. And without UPL, this team would be bad this year. Very bad. So many games that UPL has just taken over and, given them a chance or won them games. And that's something last year we didn't see. Goalies did not win the Sabres games last year. They've done it a lot this year. So yeah, I think UPL clearly is going to be the future of this team. Again, he's got some things to work on. In the beginning of the year, not so much now, but he got out of his net a little too far, was caught out of position quite a bit, but he's definitely fixed quite a few problems he had from last season. I'd say his major flaw was tracking the puck, right? He's a big goalie. He was always good in tight. He could spread the pads, cover the whole net pretty well, but his major flaw last season was tracking the puck, tracking those long wristers, slappers, and that's where we saw a bunch of weak goals last year. This year, not so much. Again, a lot of people's biggest complaint with UPL this game is, he's not a gamer. All of a sudden, we get close to the playoffs, and then he has a bad game, then has another bad game. Guys, we got to calm down a little bit. Goalies have bad games, and, he's had, maybe 3, 4 bad games all season long. The rest have been great. So we can't complain about a couple of bad games. I know we let up a softie against Detroit. What are you going to do? The Sabres couldn't put the puck in the net. It didn't matter if he made that save. The Sabres played lackluster that game. That was not his fault. Then you look at the Edmonton Oilers game. Again, he gives up 8 goals, by far his worst game of the season, but they left him out to dry. I mean, again, the Sabres pushed for a goal towards the end there. They knew they needed one. It didn't happen. It is what it is. When you push for a goal, your defense is obviously going to not be as great, and then your goalie gets left out to dry. And in the NHL, if you do that, it doesn't matter if you're the best goalie in the league, you're going to give up a few goals. So it is what it is. Then he comes back, bounces back with a big win against Calgary, and we see the same UPL we've seen pretty much all season long. So again, there's going to be some things he has to work on, but overall, UPL definitely going to be the starter next season, without a doubt. Now let's move to Devon Levi. Devon Levi, again, last season, he comes up, plays, 9 games, and all of a sudden we think he's the greatest goalie of all time. Comes into camp this year, not as good, plays all right in preseason, then really struggles out of the gate in the regular season. Again, goalies take forever to develop. It is what it is. I still think Devon Levi is going to be a great goalie, and I think the Sabres have a great problem, I guess, in having 2 fantastic goalie prospects, / young guys coming up in this system. Now, again, they could look to trade Devon Levi or trade UPL, whoever they, don't really see fit as the starter, or they could just have a great tandem for years to come, and I think that's what they're going to lean towards, because we've seen what the Sabres do when they go out and try to get these random goalies from free agency. We'll talk about one later that has not had the best of seasons. But yeah, Devon Levi, again, not a great start to the year, so they send him to the AHL, after, keeping 3 goalies around, which was one of the dumbest decisions I've ever seen. But they send him to the AHL, and safe to say Devon Levi is back. I mean, he has looked phenomenal with the Amherst. And again, like I said, I'm not going to use stats, but you look at stats and you're like, okay, some games he played really good, some games not as great. If you actually watch the games and watch the Rochester Amherst play, you know their defensive system is not great. I mean, last season, Malcolm Subban was torched and did a great job down there. But again, their defense is not great. So if you're letting 2 goals a game against on the Amherst, I mean, that's pretty much a shutout the way they play defense down there. So, huge year for Devon Levi in the AHL. And again, once we realized that playoffs probably weren't going to happen, it was definitely the right choice to let him cook a little bit in the AHL. Again, still very young, tons of promise. And he's kind of the opposite of UPL when you look at him, right? A very small goalie compared to UPL, who's this massive behemoth on the ice that could cover post to post. Devon Levi is kind of that pesky, aggressive goalie that, he'll come out and get you, but he's very fundamentally sound. But definitely not one of your average goalies that's just going to sit there, right? He's moving around. He's got that meditation thing he does. Reminds me of Zach Greinke in the MLB, just kind of like a weird guy, but that's kind of what goalies are, right? They're these weird guys that, just, do their own thing, love their own thing, and Devon Levi is definitely going to be good. So I think the Sabres are perfectly set up for the future with that 1-2 combo. Again, we could see regression from UPL. Maybe Devon Levi outperforms them next season, and we see him as the 1, UPL as the 2. It doesn't matter, though. I think both guys have played great this year, and I think we should be excited for the future in the goaltending position. The other positions, maybe not so much. Going to have a big season, a big off season for them. But we'll see what happens there. Finally, let's talk about Eric Comrie. I've said this in multiple videos. Great guy, but horrible goaltender. Again, I mean, just, put up horrible stats this year, horrible performances. And again, he's a backup goalie, I get it, but he's not an NHL caliber backup. And the Sabres have to move on from him after this season. We cannot be carrying more than 2 goalies. And if Kevin Adams decides Devon Levi needs another season, or at least half season in the AHL next year, I think they should definitely look at the trade market or the free agency market to get a backup goalie for UPL. Because if you're going to get someone as bad as Eric Comrie, it can't happen. You cannot have this porous of goal performance and then put Eric Comrie in net. I mean, if you're going to be putting up, 1 goal a game, Eric Comrie is not going to match that on the other side. So the Sabres definitely have to look for a little bit better of a backup next season if they feel that Devon Levi isn't ready to make that jump just yet. And again, I think, camp is really going to decide what happens. I think, maybe even preseason games a little bit, but with goalies, you got to be patient with them. We see all across the league. Goalies have up years, down years. They get paid, then they have a bad year. They bounce all around. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about this Sabres goaltending situation. Should they trade one of their prospects while they can? I say prospects, young guys, you know what I mean. While they can for something big? Or should they just keep that 1-2 combo of UPL or Levi? Or should they maybe keep Levi in the AHL and go out and get another backup? Maybe the final solution is have UPL as your backup and go out and spend all your money on a true starting goaltender. I don't think that should happen the way UPL's been playing, but if he regresses, you might have to. So let me know in the comments. Be sure to leave a like, subscribe, join our Discord for conversations about the Bills and Sabres, and I will catch you guys next time. Have a great day.